What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble channel, please hit that follow and subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on whatever podcast platform you utilize, please hit that follow and subscribe button too. Help build up our following so we can continue to bring you interviews like the one I'm about to have today. Now it's Richie Hume.
Hume. Yes, sir. Yep, you got it.
All right. Yeah, I butcher names all the time. So this is all right. This score this one as a win today.
Yeah.
Of the band Weapons of Anew. And
Yes,
yeah, this should be an interesting conversation because you're like down there near ground zero right now.
Yep. I'm at my dad's place. It's it's pretty well equipped. There's like some storm shutters right here. I'm sort of out in a windowless spot. It's actually his patio, but I feel pretty secure in here. I think they said through like 1 through 4 today. It's gonna sound like a freight train rolled through here, but it is what it is, man. You know, you just batten down the hatches and do what you can.
Yeah, so down there in Florida with the hurricane, was it Ian?
Ian, yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I got family down in Tampa and stuff, so it's like I've been kind of reaching out to them, and hopefully, I just hope that everybody stays safe and kind of, like it looks like your dad's used to it. Almost looks like something from that movie, The Purge,
Yeah, yeah. So, is your family in Tampa, or are they like south of Tampa? So, Tampa should be okay for the most part. At least that's what they're projecting. You know, you never really know with these things because it was supposed to be a direct hit at Tampa on Monday. So I told my girlfriend, I said, well, let's go south of it to my dad's in Naples. And sure enough, the storm turned. And now, I mean, we went
like
straight to the path.
Yeah, it's like when you sit by the campfire and the smoke's hitting your face. So you move to another chair and then the smoke comes over there. It's like following you.
Yep, we're the magnets.
But yeah, so usually when I have somebody on for the first time, I like to get a quick background with them. So originally, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I've always wanted to be a musician, man. Since I can remember 7 or 8 years old, I was obsessed with Kiss and Aerosmith and Leonard Skinner, and I've played guitar and sang. You know, it's back to that point. And I just love it. Love playing, love singing, love performing, love writing, and that's what I've really always wanted to do. So
nice. Yeah. Oh, real quick, I forgot too. I got to point out for the audience. Yes, I realize my shirt blends with the green screen, but we're approaching Halloween. I think it looks kind of cool and creepy. So
what's that little devil on there? Is that a devil?
Yeah, a little devil guy over like a stuffed pig, and
Cool.
it's for this band, the Altar Boys. It's for their song "Pigs and Pineapples," and
Awesome.
it's kind of it's a cool little song, but it's like a festive shirt. It's like a light blue shirt, and I was like, well, it's kind of tropical, Florida's usually nice, so I'd be a little
tropical. We're coming up on Halloween too. I got kind of a grim looking shirt on. Power Trip, they're Nightmare Logic. That's that record.
Yeah, great band, man. It's a shame we lost a singer.
Yeah, he was awesome, man. Riley Gale. Rest in peace.
Yep. And then so you said you've always kind of wanted to be a musician. So when was it that you kind of like discovered music, and what drew you in?
I was about I'd say 6 or 7 years old. It's probably a cliche story, but I was walking through the mall and I saw a Kiss poster on the Sam Goody glass. And I was like, what the hell is that? And I think my mom said something to me like, oh, don't worry about that. You don't need to know about that. So of course I need to know about that, So I grabbed all of my grandma had like she gave us these state quarter folders with all the state quarters in it. and I grabbed my sister's and mine, and it was like $12 total. And I took it down to the mall and piled up all the quarters and bought Kiss Alive. And from then on, man, I was obsessed.
Yeah, that was my gateway as well, man. It's funny. I've shared this story numerous times on here, but it's like it was Christmas, and my sister was big into like Leif Garrett and Rod Stewart and stuff like that, and she was just opening these albums, you know. And then is that part of the storm?
Yeah, that was the Shutters.
Oh, nice. So
Little Gus there.
yeah, so she's opening the albums, and all of a sudden somebody decided to buy her Kiss Alive. And she was like, "What is this?" You know, and I'm younger, you know, and I'm sitting across the room, and I'm just like, "Oh, you know, I'll take that." And the rest is history.
Yeah, you know, and Kiss Alive, I think it's a classic gateway record. As you know, you said gateway. That's so true. They're such a gateway band for so many people. And you know, I think that record, I had it in CD form, but still, you were able to open up the booklet and see all the pictures. I think that show was at like Cobo Hall or something like that. You see all the pictures of the lights and the
Yeah.
packed crowd and them all in their makeup and stuff, and it draws you in, you know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The visual, they knew what they were doing. The marketing was great.
Yeah,
But
and then you discover Metallica and Ozzy and all that stuff, and then as I got older, I went into the more modern sort of hard rock metal bands and found grunge, you know, and so
yeah. And what kind of led you to vocals?
you know, I think that I picked up a guitar when I was about 6 or 7 when I found that Kiss record, and it's hard to pick up a guitar when you're a young kid. You know, your hands aren't fully formed yet. I think at least me, I lacked the patience. And singing was something I discovered that I was at least able to sing in tune. I'm sure I didn't sing well, but I was at least able to just kind of sing along with the records. And there was a karaoke night, and I'd sing like "Whole Lot of Love" or "Sweet Child of Mine," and I just loved it, man. I just loved performing. I guess I wanted the attention, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, same thing, man. I could never, you know, at a young age, I couldn't really play guitar, but I did kill it on the tennis racket in my garage when I'd jam along, you know.
Yeah, you know,
Thought I was the best.
whatever makes you feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And then so you get into, you kind of get drawn then to vocals. You're going through school, like you meet some other like-minded people, start trading music, and then start forming bands in high school and stuff.
That's right. Yeah, and then you know, as I got older, I learned how to play guitar adequately. You know, I wouldn't say well, but I learned how to play guitar enough that I could sing. You know, enough that it enabled me to sing and play live and join bands and I joined bands and you know, I lived in a small town in Connecticut. There wasn't a whole lot to do, and there was this. They really, you know, I give the town a lot of credit. They really championed arts and music, and there was a pool of great musicians where I was from that I was able to work and collaborate with. And then as I got to be 18, I started playing in the bars and all that stuff. And fast forward, you know, 8 to 10 years after that, and I met the guys in Weapons down here in Florida through a mutual friend, and we've been. I joined about a year ago, and we've been making music, and we're putting out. We put out our first single, and we're putting out more songs here as the months go by. So
Yeah, so you originally were up in Connecticut and playing, and that what was that music scene like? And then how did you connect with these guys down here in Florida?
Connecticut music scene was, like I said, I came from a town that really championed like arts, and there were a lot of youth centers. And at that time, you know, that was about '07, '08. A lot of like the hardcore bands, there was like a big resurgence of like emo and hardcore, and a lot of them were coming through those youth centers. And that just kind of, you know, it definitely was teen angsty music that we all got into. And you know, after high school, um, discovered that I could also play music and make some money doing what I love, playing in those bars. And over time, my path, just like family path and stuff, brought me down to Florida. And the Weapons guys happened to just move down to Florida, and we were in the same area. They were looking for a singer, and I got hooked up with them. And I dug their music. I dug what they had done before me. I was a fan, and I definitely was anxious to get into the audition. And I think I was a little nervous the first time, but they gave me a second chance, and it definitely felt right that second time we got together. And it's been so much fun ever since.
Nice. So yeah, so you said you moved down there like how many years ago now you've been down in Florida?
5 years.
5 years. And then
Yeah.
Immediately kind of started playing out there before you connected with those guys, or did you know them before you?
I had been in a band. I had been in the Northeast where I moved down from. I was in a band, bar band, played a lot of covers. We'd play 230, 240 shows a year up and down the upper East Coast. It was a lot of fun. It was hard, it was a lot of traveling and a lot of playing. And I'd moved down here. My mom had passed away, so I wanted to be with my family. And I kind of gave up music. I was like, I need to get a regular job. I need to make a living. So I got a medical sales gig for like 3 years. And, I was just miserable, man. It's not what I do. So I was playing weekend gigs the entire time I was doing that. And finally, it just made sense to me that I was able to sustain a decent living playing in Florida. There's so many gig opportunities down here. And even when I'm playing those covers and stuff, it keeps me sharp and keeps my chops up to play in the original band, Weapons. And so yeah, man, I said I'm not gonna fight this anymore. I'm not gonna do a job that I hate. I'm gonna play music, and that's what I've been doing ever since. And it's been liberating just accepting that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, and it's great if you got a good support system too. It's like, some of us grow up in families is like, no, get your head out of the clouds. Those are just dreams. Those are for other people. You have to do this. You have to go work at this factory like your grandfather and father. And,
Yep.
and it just sucks, man, because you just feel like you said, lifeless. And then when you find your passion and just finally just go for it, man, it's like it's not work,
Yeah, and it's cliche to say, but it feels like this unattainable, unreachable thing, and then you just put one foot in front of the other, and at some point, if you work hard, you realize like this is doable, man. I can do this, and then something might come along, like meeting the Weapons guys, and but you'll never know if you don't try to do it. So
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's talk about the joining Weapons because they were already kind of like established for a little bit, and you're coming in, and I think like
Lun'iah.
Lun'iah
Yep,
came
our
in as
drummer
well.
Lun'iah. Yeah, she came in about the same time I did.
Okay, now did you guys know each other beforehand, or?
She was on the scene. We didn't know each other, but she played in some bands, some bar bands I had heard of in the area. And yeah, they just, COVID kind of happened and kind of, I guess, sort of bucked a lot of things that, all the bands had going on. And
Yeah.
so they found themselves having to kind of reset after COVID. And they, a guy who I was who's a really good friend of mine linked me and Weapons up, and then I didn't know Lun'iah. It wasn't through me or anything like that, but they had found her on the scene, and we both came in at the same time, and it's been a lot of fun, man. And she's been an awesome kind of counterpart, to come into a new band with. So that's been great.
Yeah, and then so you didn't really know the guys personally or whatever through the scene beforehand. It wasn't until you kind of they were looking for somebody and your friend kind of connected you.
Yeah, they had come down from New Jersey, about the time COVID hit, and that's when my friend connected us.
And then, like kind of listening to, I mean, they'd already been established. I don't know, I forget like how many years previous, but then coming in, two new parts to the recipe, I guess. Like, what's that been like coming in, and what do you feel you guys have contributed to, to know this is okay, this is, we have the right fix now.
Well, it's always, regardless of what band you're coming into, you always want to impress at the beginning. And I think there's a level of nerves, no matter what band you're coming into. Like, I want to do a great job, and so there was some of that, but I mean, we have such a fun time just hanging out, man, that went away pretty quick.
Yeah.
Uh, and you're making music, and you're making more so than even making music, you're making rock and roll together, and it's just the best time ever. And at some point, we take ourselves seriously when it's the right time too, but overall, we try not to take it too serious. We try to remember that we're a rock and roll band, man. We're all just lucky to be playing, and we're lucky to be able to do what we love and do it together. So there's an element of that makes all of the nerves and stuff of joining a new band go away. And then I think once you hit that stride, you really start to make your best work. So we're kind of entering that era now, and that's where the fun really begins.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, that's so key to have that, to build those, like that foundation, those relationships, because you know, when you guys are on the road living in a, in a vehicle together, having to smell each other's,
Yep.
for how many days out on the road and just deal with each other. It's just like, it makes it a lot easier knowing that you already have like a foundation of a friendship than,
I'll
just
tell you,
business partners.
we're yet to embark on like our first real long road journey, and hopefully it's coming soon. I think probably end of the year or next year, we'll be out there on the road promoting a bunch of these songs. But I feel fortunate to say that in my dealings with them so far, it's a pretty hygienic crew. Well showered, well groomed. Nobody eats like too terrible. So I think as far as the odors go, this is one of the better crews I've been in a band with. So I feel fortunate in that way too.
Nice. And then like the name Weapons of Anew kind of like caught my curiosity. Have you talked to them? Have they shared with you like what was the inspiration with that? Or
Man, I've honestly been wondering the same thing myself. I'll have to ask them. I don't know what the exact story is behind it. So it just every time I've been meaning to ask, we get to hanging out and playing, and I just forget to ask. But I
nice.
dig the name. It's a strong name. WOA makes for a cool logo, and they got some cool logo, and it lends itself to neat artwork. So I'm into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I was just curious because, it's like I've been um I'm retired military, and then I'm just like, Weapons of Anew. It's like, well, we're fighting a different war with less boots on ground and more technology, and they can get us with sound rays. And I mean, was going deep down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, I wonder what they know, but
Yeah, I wonder if there's a story behind it, or if it's kind of make something serious like that, or something sort of jokingly. It's like you go back to the Foo Fighters, and I think Dave Grohl, don't quote me on this, but it's something along the lines of he just didn't know what to call it, and he picked Foo Fighters. And it's kind of, if you think about the name itself, it's kind of ridiculous, but they're the Foo Fighters, you know what I mean? So
yeah, yeah.
it's all about how you get up there, and if you kick ass live and make great music, then the band name gets more power regardless of what it is.
Exactly. And then so as you mentioned, you guys had the single Break the Ties that's been released. You got a video for it. I'm assuming this is something that you've had a part of creating.
I put my vocal stamp on it. This first batch of songs, were kind of arranged and largely created before I came in. So I went into the studio, but I worked with our producer, Mike Ferretti, and we definitely put my vocal stamp on it. And I had some some input, you know, in terms of the vocal dynamics I was able to put down. So I'm stoked on that.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I'm a curious fella, and every time I hear different names, I'm like, okay, well, what was the inspiration behind writing that? Like, what's
Yeah,
the
so that
inspiration behind Break the Ties?
Freddie and our producer and a few writers had sort of the uh, um, creative input on this first batch of tunes, and then I came in and was able to put a little bit of input in. But I'll definitely be writing and creating and putting my writing into it in the future. So I'm stoked on that too.
Cool. And then, like you said, you guys have a video for that song out. And was this like this was coming obviously kind of off the? Well, I mean, you guys are in Florida, so you guys are a lot more open than the rest of the country. But how did you put the video together? And where was like the location? How'd you guys get together to make this video?
So there's a rehearsal studio we worked at, and they had this really cool light wall, and we instantly knew that it was going to be an awesome spot for a video. So we took it on over to there, and we worked with Kill Devil Films, Thomas from Kill Devil Films, who is just such a great music video filmmaker. He definitely achieved the aesthetic that we were looking for. He kind of he's definitely influenced in his music videos by like horror elements, and while this one was just like a performance video, the way he kind of frames it is it's got this visceral, almost like, for lack of a better word, it's got this visceral sort of violent horror feel to it. So it definitely like captured the intensity of the music pretty well. And yeah, man, he's great to work with.
Yeah, I agree. And then yeah, I keep forgetting, like, I mean, Florida had, it was a lot more open even during stuff, which is personally I think it was great. But I know I've talked to other musicians and stuff where they couldn't even get together. They had to make videos like via Zoom, and stuff like that. They couldn't even come together during for the longest time.
Yeah, we were really fortunate, man. You know, as a guy who makes a full-time living playing music in bars, outside of Weapons of Anew, uh, I was able to get back in and playing pretty quick compared to the rest of the country. And God bless a lot of my musician friends around the country. Like, it was really hard for them, I'm sure,
Oh yeah.
to make it through those times. So I feel really blessed and fortunate, and it's definitely I really appreciate Florida for that reason.
Yeah, for sure. And then so the album's going to be titled The Art of War. That's coming out. Is it complete, and is there a date yet for that, or are you still kind of putting it together where you're going to be able to add your pieces to it?
It's more or less complete, and we're looking. There's no exact date, but we're looking at early spring 2023, and we're going to be kind of releasing songs up to that point. So probably every couple of months we'll have a new song out for y'all, and then we'll take it to the road after that, hopefully.
And from what you've heard so far, and what you've been able to be a part of, is there, it's kind of like asking, like, who your favorite child is, I guess, sometimes when you create some such art. But is there like a particular song on this album that you're like, man, I cannot wait till we get to play that in front of a live audience?
I really dig the title track, and that one's one that I think we're all really stoked to share with you guys. I don't want to reveal anything more than that, but the title track I'm stoked on, Art of War.
Nice. And then now I was reading too that you guys in the studio kind of connected with, I don't know, beforehand or whatever, but we're able to work with Logan Mader of Machinehead. You talk a little bit about that and what that
Yeah,
experience was like?
yeah. So Freddie and Logan worked on "Break the Ties" that came out, our first single. They collaborated on that one and wrote that tune together, and that's what I was saying. You know, Freddie worked with a couple of people before I got in there, and then I was able to come in and work with our producer Mike Ferretti on sort of, like I said, the song was done, but I was able to put my vocal stamp on it. So, but it's awesome that he was able to work with Logan, and I'm hoping to get to meet and maybe work with Logan sometime in the future. We'll see.
Nice. And then now you're attached with the I read Regime Music Group. Is that the label that'll be coming out on, or is that
That's
just
the
your manager?
that's our management company that our manager Mike Parrish works with.
Okay. And then what's the label that the album will be coming out on when it comes out?
It'll be independent, but Regime Music Group will certainly have. They'll certainly be working with us and helping us and providing resources for us. We, you know, in today's day and age, there's so many different options to release a record. You know, so many
Yeah,
different configurations you can go with than the traditional sort of record label release. So, but Regime will definitely be a big part of helping us release it.
nice. And then like if fans like want to purchase some of the music you guys are releasing or have out already, like where would they go?
So initially, right now, as we sort of release these singles digitally, Apple Music, you can stream it on all the streaming platforms, and then Apple Music and all the other streaming platforms listed in our link tree, and you'll be able to find all of our music. If you just, it's simple as typing in Weapons of Anew in on Google, everything will come up, and you'll be able to find, you know, wherever you consume your music. And then, you know, down the line, as we get a record out, we'll definitely be doing some physical stuff too.
Nice. And then I mean, being, you know, you said you've been a year in now with the group. What kind of goals do you have for yourself, you know, as a musician, but also for your growth with Weapons? What kind of like goals do you have going forward?
I'm definitely just really pumped to write and collaborate with them even more in the future, and just be consistent, man. My overall goal is consistency. It's just to put out steady amounts of music for our fan base to consume and enjoy and get to know us, because ultimately it's about having that consistency so we can create a relationship with our fans, so that live we create the ultimate experience for them. And that's my goal, is to touch people live. Ultimately, that's to me, rock and roll is meant to be consumed and experienced in a live setting. And making music and making art and distributing that is a means to create a better experience for your fans when they come to see you live.
Yeah, I agree. And then like what's something that you feel that you could still improve on?
Oh man, I'm always going to shows, man. I'm always watching frontmen. And what was the most recent show I went to see? I went to see I saw the Lamb of God Kill Switch Engage tour, and I'm
Oh, that was
constantly,
amazing. I saw it when it came through down here.
man, Lamb of God is a sonic punch in the face, man. I love it. It's just so awesome. And I hadn't seen them since '07, the year the Ozfest was free, when they were on Ozfest. And that was an intense experience, but it was refreshing just to see them live, man. And, you know, there's always something to learn. There's always something to learn. And I'm always watching. I consider Randy Blythe one of the great frontmen of my time. And, you know, watching him, and then seeing Testament a few months ago, and watching Chuck Billy, and watching, you know, all the bands I go to see. I'm going to go see In Flames, and I go and I really try to enjoy the show, but also watch from a lens of what works, what fans are kind of receiving, and just receive inspiration from my favorite bands and favorite frontmen, and I try to see other all genres of music too. You know, I try to go see. I went to a jazz night locally, and that was amazing recently. And I go and watch local music all the time, in addition to the bands that we all listen to and love.
Yeah, gotcha. I was just at I think it was last week, In This Moment came through, and I was at that show, and like Maria Brink too, she just puts on such a
Oh,
phenomenal, I mean, the whole
such
band, but the whole stage show and then theatrics and everything. It's like I've always been, you know, like we said, you know, Kiss was the gateway, and then all these other bands that kind of add the theater and stuff to it. It's always been like kind of my thing, and she's just amazing.
such an amazing front woman, man. She's so captivating. I've yet to see them live, but I've watched so many of their videos, and I've definitely followed them over the course of their career. I think they were actually at that Bill and Ozfest '07 too. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's initially how I discovered them. It was either that or one of the years before or after. But yeah, they've been great. They've had a great career, and Maria Brink is so captivating live, you know.
Yeah, and it's like since they've been able to kind of establish themselves, and now they're, you know, they're headlining and stuff, just they can add more and more to the whole visual. And if you do get a chance to see them, man, I highly recommend it. It's incredible.
Yeah, like I said, just the videos of them, I'm like drawn in. You know, the live videos I've seen, so I gotta go experience it in the flesh for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to ask you some of the questions I normally ask guests that I have on here. And we've talked to, you know, we've covered a lot of artists and music and bands that you're into, but who would you say are your top 3 musical artists?
Oh man, you know, growing up, I'd say my favorite band was Stone Temple Pilots. I love the compositions that the DeLeo brothers come up with, how they incorporate jazz into the music, and I love that sort of menacing presence that Scott Weiland had. You know, sort of channeling David Bowie and channeling just a prototypical, and I mean that in a good way, like amazing rock frontman. Just so captivating. So that's number one. Number two, man, it's hard to come up with a top 3.
Yeah, you feel like
That
you
I
leave
mean,
somebody out, you know?
yeah, I can definitely pinpoint STP as probably my favorite band, but then I love a band called Thrice.
Okay.
I just think that their songwriting is really amazing. I think they've really been consistent over a long period of time, and that's something I admire about them. And they're always challenging themselves musically. And then, so that might be my second favorite band. And then number 3, probably Stevie Ray Vaughan. I mean, that guy just used to destroy guitars in the best way, and the passion he put into his music was unparalleled.
Nice. And then is there a particular song that you feel it has been like a go-to, like has inspired you in life, that whenever you're going through a rough time, it never gets old? You put it on it's on your playlist and kind of helps motivate you?
Again, it might be a cliche answer, but Nutshell by Alice in Chains, man. You know, there's like, it's kind of this somber song that might sort of bring you down, but when I'm having a hard time, there's something about the calmness of it and the sort of feeling that somebody out there understands, you know, the struggle you might be going through. That is that song to me. So I'd say Nutshell by Alice in Chains.
Nice. And then what class do you feel should be mandatory before graduating high school today?
This is a great question. I'd say a class that exists would be history. You know, you should understand history and you should understand how not to repeat it. And there's lessons to be learned on a macro level, but also on a micro level. But a class that didn't exist when I was in high school is just like there needs to be a better personal finances class, man. You know, that's something you just learn on the fly in life once you get out into the world. But they need to teach that more so than calculus or geometry or something like that, you know?
Yeah, agree 100%. And that's usually like the top one that people give me is, something with finances or taxes and stuff like that.
So I guess I gave you two, but one that exists is history, and one that doesn't, they need to do like a personal finance thing.
Great. And then who are three people who've inspired you or you can credit for making you the person you are today?
My mom's number one, who's since passed. She just, it's cheesy to say, but she loved the hell out of me my whole life and always supported me musically and took me to shows and definitely fashioned the person who I am today. Number two, probably my best friend, Drew Arcolio, who's Drew Cole, who's an amazing singer, singer-songwriter in his own right. And, him and I grew up, discovered music together, and kind of hit every coming of age point together. And then number three, my grandfather, my grandfather on my dad's side, who was just a music enthusiast and lover of life, and overall amazing guy.
Nice. And then are there any causes or organizations that you support and encourage others to check out?
I went to Penn State. I'm a Penn State alumni, and they have a event every year called Thon, and it goes to a organization called the Four Diamonds Fund, which is affiliated with Hershey Hospital, and any kid that battles pediatric cancer has all of their expenses covered if they go to Hershey Hospital and they're in that area. So Penn State Dance Marathon, Thon.
Nice. And then favorite toy as a child?
Does a guitar count?
It could.
Something not related. Okay.
Yeah, something toy.
Something more toy.
Yeah. Something that brought out made you use your imagination.
I love the yo-yo, dude. It's such a time killer. You can come up with tons of cool tricks. I actually got almost embarrassingly good at it. Not as good as some of my friends, but yo-yo for sure. Sometimes I still spin one around with my nieces and nephews.
Oh, you gotta bring that into the live show. You have the guitar solo, you have the drum solo, and then you come out and do a yo-yo tricks or something.
Just hit the cat's cradle right in the middle of a guitar solo.
Yeah, that'd be incredible. And then any message that you have for our military members currently serving overseas?
Oh man, thank you from the bottom of my heart, obviously. And that goes to all branches, foreign and domestic. I'm sure we'll have some military involved right now with this hurricane, and my prayers go out to anybody who's actively serving right now. It's a dangerous job, and Weapons of Anew definitely appreciates the military. That's definitely I think our music is sort of attractive to people that go through the struggle on a day-to-day basis in any kind of way, and like hardworking America, and the military is definitely a part of that demographic. So we appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts.
Nice. And then yeah, well, speaking of which, down there right now, like you said, in the middle of the hurricane, guess we should give a shout out to your cell phone provider that you stayed clear for the whole interview.
Dude, we haven't lost power yet. I'm like shocked because these storm shutters have been ripping, man. I'm constantly like looking up on this interview. I feel but man, it's you can see it's just like it's coming in and in. Crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess this isn't your dad's first rodeo with these, huh?
No, and in the community he bought this place in, they're crazy about hurricane preparation because it is North Naples, Florida, where he lives. So this ain't their first rodeo.
Yeah. Well, definitely sending prayers and everything down to you guys. Uh, make it through this. Hopefully, not too much damage or any loss of life, and you guys are able to then, get back out and start doing your thing, man. I appreciate your time, and well, real quick before I let you go, you mind doing me one favor?
Yeah, not at all. What's up?
You want to cut a promo ID for the show? Just introduce yourself, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Absolutely. Tell me when.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hey guys, my name is Richie Hume from Weapons of Anew, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle podcast. Rock on.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. And yeah, it's a pleasure getting to talk to you and see a little bit of what the bunkers are like there in Florida for the hurricanes. And like one last time, if anybody wants to check out your guys' stuff and support you guys, where would you send them?
Weapons of Anew. Anew, one word. Weapons of Anew. Just type it in on Google, and the website will come up along with all social media platforms and streaming platforms.
Awesome, man. All right. Well, thanks again for your time, Richie. And, good luck with everything the next few days.
Hey, thanks so much, man. Great meeting you, and I really appreciate you having me on.
All right. No problem. Take care.
You too.